Yeah, I mean, I came up with that because, I'm not sure if everybody out there really knows or anything like that, but I got some skills, and I'm freaking brilliant.
And lastly, there's heroic. Now, this is something that's almost impossible. It calls for extraordinary effort and luck. Even heroes have a tough time pulling off this task.
I.e., use a force point.
Putting a proton torpedo through an access shaft or a thermal shaft.
Now, the reason that I wanted to revisit the difficulties, Daniel, is that there is something I've been kicking around this week, which was a rule or a house rule for unskilled or default skills. And I've been kicking it around in two different versions. Actually, two different versions. One, what happens is you subtract 1d from whatever it defaults to, whatever attribute, and make them roll against the normal task difficulty. The other one is, well, actually there's three. You can actually make it so that increase the task difficulty. So if it's moderate, it becomes difficult. And the last one was to just not make the wild die exploding.
Okay.
Now, a number of people have already chimed in and said they didn't like the whole idea of increasing the difficulty, say from easy to moderate or moderate to difficult and stuff like that. But they much prefer the minus 1d. And I just threw in the extra one with the wild die. It's kind of like, I understand the wild die is supposed to, show the fickleness of luck in the Star Wars universe. But it's all kind of like one of those things that's like, if you're using a skill at default, I can actually see this argument either direction. One, yeah, you should allow the wild die to have a 6 on it because, it does represent the fickleness. But then also from the meta mechanic of it, I can also go, well, they're using a skill as a default. Why should they get an extra bonus above and beyond? But then again, if you go by that argument, then it really kind of negates the whole idea of having a wild dice in any of the rules. And there's a wild dice in every single dice pool you throw.
That's right. No matter what it is.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to throw that idea out. So then it comes back to the original two, which basically means, are you going to take one dice away, or are you just going to increase the difficulty? What's your thoughts?
But see, the game mechanics already, make up for it. Why make it even harder on a character? If they don't have the skill, if they're unskilled, they fall back to their original attribute.
I don't know. It was something I was thinking about.
I could see that maybe in a higher campaign, or if you've got a group of murder hobos, you really want to mess with them, yeah, do that. But for an average game, yeah, I'll stick to what the mechanics have. I
got you. No big deal. It was just an idea I was kicking around, which also... And that also kind of goes hand in hand with something that just really annoys me. It just gnaws at me. Characters that make repeated attempts or immediately try and do something they just did and failed at.
Yeah, I don't like those myself.
Basically, an idea that I came up, which is very similar to the attribute. I'm sorry, default skill rule, was that if a character fails while attempting something and wishes to retry, the GM should increase the difficulty by 1 level.
I think that would be good. The character, they'll just fail something and say, oh, time to try it again.
Yep, because there's no penalty for it.
Right.
And the thing is, actually the increased level of difficulty is something that I took from a model that's already in the game, which has to do with using a health pack. A health pack, if you use more than 1 health pack in a 24-hour period, for every one after the first, you keep increasing the difficulty by 1 level. So there is a model or mechanic by which this is based.
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea, but then in some of the discussions, people are like, well, depending upon the situation, and I'm like, oh my God, really? Yes, you're right. Depending upon the situation, common sense will always rule out over mechanics. But their point was that it should only be for specific skills, like interpersonal skills, like con or bargain and stuff like that. They could see where it would increase the difficulty and stuff like that, but not say someone's trying to pick a static lock. Just because they failed the first time, it shouldn't automatically become harder. And I'm sitting back and I'm looking at it more as a mechanic of if you fail at it, you don't just sit there and keep trying it over and over again. We move on. We think of another idea. We come up with a different plan. We use our ingenuity. So that's the only reason I was throwing the mechanic in there, was just to kind of help move it ahead and have people think differently. Not so much to penalize someone, but I don't know. I like the idea. I think I'm actually going to try in one of my games.
Okay.
Did you see that discussion earlier in the week about full skill use and movement?
Yep.
I did some research on that. Basically, there was a question of it about. Actually, I think it's been up like 2 or 3 times. But last week it was being discussed again. I can't remember who posted it. But they were like, well, you know, if I declare that I'm dodging, can I move while I'm dodging? Well, short answer is no, you can't. All right, unless, and this is per reading. Let's see, revised and expanded, page 100. States that using cautious movement, 1/2 of your move, or up to 1/2 of it, is a free action if the terrain is very easy, or moderate. Further, it goes on to state that it is not considered an action. So if a person makes a full active dodge, they can move up to 1/2 of their movement as their first and only action for the round other than their active dodging. So actually anybody in the game, as a free action, as long as it falls into those terrain difficulties, can move up to half their movement as a free action at any time, but only once.
I like it. You know, there was the guy that he kept mentioning, and I think his name was Enrique. Yeah.
I think that's who posted it to begin with, yeah.
Right. He kept talking about how you have to move back in person and keep moving forward to attack somebody. So, Enrique, here's your answer to the whole move up and move away from somebody trying to chop you.
Yeah. No, but yes. Is really what it kind of comes down to. And, of course, on that came up when I was going through the Blue Book, Star Wars Blue Book, looking at the mishaps and stuff you and I were discussing earlier. I came across the normal use of defense skills. And I can't remember if I got it out of Blue Book or if I got it from somebody else. I don't remember where I got it. But basically, when a character makes a normal defense roll, the character rolls their skill dice. The player can then choose to use either the skill as the value for all attacks in that round, or use each individual attacker's difficulty in that round. So he gets to actually choose one or the other after he makes the roll. I'm not in favor of this roll.
Why?
As it is in the rules as written, it says, well, you know, if you roll your dice and it's like this, then you zigged when you should have zagged. So it seems to me that they already put some thought into, you know, what happens if a person rolls kind of crappily. So, I mean, I don't know. I can see it either way. I mean, if you want to give your characters a little bit of, you know, you don't want to come down on them nearly as hard. You want to be more of a friendly game, like if you've got kids that are playing, or if it's just kind of like a beer and pretzel, you know, shout and scream kind of game. I can see having this rule, but at, you know, a long-term sustainable campaign, I don't think this is a good one.
For the Jedi Library, we'd like to talk about our favorite source books. You know, mine, actually, I don't have a single one. I stick to Revised and Expanded. Sometimes I like to go to Galaxy Guide 9. Pirates and Privateers, I really do like a lot.
Yeah, I like it only in that it gives you a different direction that you don't normally look at Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I can't really think of my absolute favorite book off the top of my head, but because I have been running a lot of games lately, like 5 different games. Actually 4, because I've canceled the Friday night game and folded that over into my Sunday game. I now have 2 books that I don't like, and that would be, Galandiums or something. Anyway, Fantastic Technology, Guns and Gear.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. And Gundark's Fantastic Technology, another one. I hate it.
Why?
There is just some whacked out crap in there. You know, I can see for it being maybe slowly added in to a game, but there is just some crazy stuff in there that for, like, characters just starting out, no. I don't know. I think that I understand that they've got availabilities and a number rating and stuff like that. Maybe it was something as a project I'll do is I'll go through there and I'll kind of like look at break it down by ratings. And then allow people to kind of make rules versus streetwise or their contacts or patron rules or whatever, and see if they can actually have that stuff. But I mean, I don't know. There's so much stuff in there. Oh man, the deck sweeper, and there's a holdout pistol that does like as much as a heavy blaster.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, just stuff like that. It's just like, no. So there, I've got my least favorites.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Shooting Womp Rats.
Wait. How are they going to get hold of us, Daniel?
Oh, that's right. And
Erase space.
If you guys have any ideas and like to share them with us, comments, questions, queries, posers, shootingwomprats@gmail.com, SWD6 Podcast on Twitter. Don and I are on Google+, and every once in a while you can find us on Facebook. And before we exit this episode, this is the 20th episode of Shooting Womp Rats. We've been doing this for about 20 weeks now. It's been a heck of a ride so far.
It has. We've had all kinds of stuff. We've had recording problems. We've had internet problems. We've had family stuff come. I mean, we have just had a plethora of stuff come up, and we still do it every week.
And on a final note, I'd like to introduce our new editor, Adrian.
Adrian! He's our guy from Down Under.
Exactly. He'll be taking over editing for me now, so this is probably going to sound a lot better.
Yay.
So on behalf of Shooting Womp Rats, I'm Daniel.
I'm Don.
May the Force be with you.
Have a great and safe weekend, guys.